This is A Courtesan for Christmas, part of the Confederate Widows, Spinsters, and Proxy Brides series, written by Michele Pollock Dalton, narrated by Rick Barr, published by Barr 26 Publishing, LLC. Copyright 2024 by Michele Pollock Dalton. All rights reserved. Chapter 1. Friday, December 22nd, 1876. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The petite gentleman was no taller than Nicolet, and he carried himself like the finest of the grand plantation owners in decades past. The silver wolf's head of his walking stick glimmered, even in the low light of the passageway, and Nicolet tried to calm the nervous energy pulsating through her body. She was fully accustomed to entertaining the guests aboard her mother's floating brothel. However, Mr. Linwood Rousseau's presence unsettled Nicolet in a way she couldn't quite define. The quiet click of the door latch closing behind her sent an unreasonable tidal wave of terror cascading down Nicolet's spine, and she slowly turned to face the guest. Mr. Rousseau's cane caught her across the cheek as she pivoted, and Nicolet cried out. But the man was upon her before she could speak, and he cruelly exacted every penny he'd paid for her company. Sunday, December 24th, 1876. New Orleans, Louisiana. Disgusted by the debauchery he found on the riverboat, Hosea Scott isolated himself as much as possible by lingering near the stern of the paddle-wheeler. Although he'd willingly joined his brothers in arms aboard the Painted Laurel, Hosea hadn't expected to be confined to a floating house of ill repute for the holidays. The endless cacophony of music, drunken laughter, and the pitched sounds of carnal delight abused his ears day and night during the trip. So, as they docked at the pier in New Orleans, Hosea was thankful the ordeal was over. Returning to the small cabin he'd shared with a trio of comrades, Hosea quietly gathered his belongings and tried to avert his eyes. Still, it was hard to ignore the obvious as he tripped over discarded garments, empty liquor bottles, and entwined bodies tangled in satiated repose. "Forgive me, Lord," he murmured under his breath as he entered the passageway and closed the cabin door behind him. "I tried to shield my eyes, but it was impossible to avoid everything." "Out of my way, Yankee dog," an imperious man demanded as he strode past, interrupting the impromptu prayer and swatting at Hosea's legs with a black walking stick. Jaw tightening, Hosea pressed his back against the passageway wall and watched.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?